With tuition costs rising every year, student loan debt reaching all-time highs, and the average graduate taking 20 years to pay off college debt, now more than ever help is needed to cover educational expenses. You may think you need to strike gold, but don't walk the plank just yet, because today X marks the spot as we set sail for a hidden treasure, and I have just the map to get us there. Hey everyone, this is AJ, your ace in the hole, and welcome to the channel where we simplify personal finance and provide tips for young adults and others just starting out. And sometimes we navigate the high seas to help dig up a financial treasure to help you pay for education. Ahoy mateys! Today we're diving into one of the most powerful tools for funding education, the 529 Savings Plan. We'll cover where it came from, why it's so valuable, and how you can make the most of it. I'll even touch on some recent improvements that start this year and in 2026. And I'll answer some of the trickier questions, so be sure to stick around to the end. The 529 College Savings Plan, or Qualified Tuition Program, is a tax-advantaged savings plan designed to help with higher education expenses. You deposit after-tax money, which grows tax-free, and it's withdrawn tax-free if used for qualified educational expenses, which I'll go into detail shortly, the options of which have grown substantially over the years. So you might be shocked to learn that they are not just for college anymore. Anyone can open and contribute to a 529 plan, and the generous contribution limits make it one of the most powerful tax-friendly ways to prepare for future education costs. The 529 plan was created by Congress in 1996 and is named after Section 529 of the Internal Revenue Code. These originally began as state-run programs in the late 1980s, but in 1996, the Small Business Job Protection Act made them a permanent federal program. Since then, multiple presidents have expanded the benefits, starting with the 1997 Taxpayer Relief Act, when President Bill Clinton formalized Section 529 into the IRS code. Then, the 2001 Economic Growth and Tax Relief Reconciliation Act, signed by President George W. Bush, improved tax advantages and flexibility. In 2017, President Donald Trump signed the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, which expanded qualified expenses to add K-12 tuition up to $10,000 per year, and then the 2019 Secure Act 1.0, which added a student loan repayment option. In 2022, President Joe Biden signed the Secure Act 2.0, allowing up to a $35,000 lifetime rollover from 529 plans to Roth IRAs. And in 2025, President Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act doubled the K-12 tuition to $20,000 a year, expanded qualified expenses to include licensing and certifications, non-degree programs, and even added homeschooling costs. As you can see, the 529 plan has become far more beneficial over the years, with numerous presidents supporting it along the way. Now, why does all of this matter? Well, it's no secret that college education costs continue to tip the scales, rising every year. Families need every tool at their disposal to help, and a 529 plan is a great place to start. In 2024, Sallie Mae published a study on how Americans typically pay for college, almost 25% still coming from loans. Heading into 2025, there are about 17 million 529 accounts holding $525 billion in assets. The average account balance is roughly $30,000, enough to make a major dent in college or trade school costs. Yet, less than 18% of U.S. children have one, meaning most families aren't taking advantage. New research from Edward Jones estimates that 50% of Americans don't know what a 529 plan is. Less than 25% know these plans can be used for more than college, and only 19% are aware of the new Roth IRA rollover feature, all due to lack of awareness. But that's why I'm here, to help spread the word. And one final stat. Did you know that 30% of YouTube viewers forget to subscribe to the channels they watch? So, if you would, take a quick second to subscribe. It's totally free, and it'll ensure you get a peek at our weekly topics. Now, back to school. Let's start off with the core features of a 529 plan, the most significant being the tax advantages. Your money grows tax-deferred through investments made within the plan, and withdrawals for qualified education expenses are tax-free. Next, there are no income limits, as there are with other similar tax-advantaged savings options, and contribution limits are only limited to reasonable education costs. There are some state-level lifetime contribution limits, but they are pretty substantial, currently ranging from $235,000 to $597,000 based on the state. 529 plans have become incredibly flexible. You can open a 529 for anyone, and multiple people can open accounts for the same beneficiary. And speaking of beneficiaries, if your child doesn't use it, it can be reassigned to another family member, or even transferred to a Roth IRA within the Secure Act 2.0 limits. Now you're probably thinking,
this is all great, but what can I actually use this money for?
The good news is that the list of qualified expenses continues to grow, even as of 2025, which introduced a host of expanded options. We'll begin with the most common, which is college tuition and fees. This includes universities, community college, and trade and vocational schools. This also includes room and board expenses, required books and supplies, laptops, software, and even internet access. As mentioned, qualified expenses have expanded much further in recent years, widening 529 use substantially. One of the most valuable is the inclusion of K-12 tuition, and as of 2025, now doubling up to $20,000 per year. Student loan repayment has also been added, allowing up to $10,000 for the primary beneficiary, as well as $10,000 for each sibling. Trade school, community college, and apprenticeships are now options, and more recent changes also added non-degree programs, licensing and certification fees, and even homeschooling expenses. Finally, there are also niche options, such as assistive technology expenses for special needs students. Use of 529 withdrawals for these types of expenses maximize the tax benefits of a 529 plan. However, use of the funds for non-qualified expenses will trigger taxes on earnings as well as a 10% penalty. One common question regarding 529 plans is related to their impact on financial aid. Parent-owned 529s are counted as a parental asset with a max of 5.64% in account value counting towards FAFSA or the free application for federal student aid, while student-owned plans count much more at 20%. However, grandparent-owned plans have zero asset impact. Understanding these differences can allow for some creative tax planning when considering the use of 529 plans. When it comes to choosing a 529 plan, choose wisely. Compare your state's plan to others, as you can invest in any state's plan, but your home state may offer additional tax deductions or credits. In fact, there's a handy tool that allows a comparison of 529 plans across states, which I'll link below. Compare state-specific rules, fees, and investment options. Most plans offer age-based investment funds, which automatically grow more conservative over time, plus custom options by risk tolerance. Some plans even offer e-gift platforms, which allow friends and family members to contribute. How much you choose to contribute comes down to a variety of considerations, starting with college cost estimates, desired percentage of coverage, number of children, and of course, what you might be able to afford without neglecting other financial priorities. In fact, there's a number of online college savings calculators to help with this, which I've also linked below. Now, let's boil this all down to the pros and cons. First, there are the significant tax savings, including potential state tax deductions, which extend your dollars further as opposed to a general savings account. Then, there's the wide range of eligible expenses. As shown earlier, this list has grown substantially. Finally, there's the added flexibility of changing beneficiaries or rolling funds to a Roth IRA, which provides further protection from overfunding a 529 plan, should a child decide to choose a different path later in life. There are a few cons to consider, but they really are quite minimal and, in most cases, can be avoided with proper planning. First are the penalties, if used for non-qualified expenses. Next, there is investment risk, as returns are not always guaranteed. And finally, state plans vary widely, so a bad choice could mean higher fees and lower growth. While these should all be considered, they are not unlike those associated with other similar savings plans, and can all be avoided through good planning practices. Now let's walk through a few of the trickier questions. Question 1.
Can I open a 529 for myself to pay for school?
Yes, you can name yourself as both owner and beneficiary. Question 2.
What if my child gets a full scholarship?
Thanks to the scholarship exception, you can withdraw the equivalent amount without the 10% penalty, although you do pay normal income tax on the earnings. You can also transfer funds to another beneficiary or, more recently, transfer to a Roth IRA, subject to normal IRA contribution limits. Question 3.
What's the best way to start?
To start, visit your state's official 529 website or use the National Comparison Tool, which I've linked below, to shop, select, and open an account. Accounts can be opened very easily, not much different than a basic savings account. Question 4.
Do I need to track my expenses?
Yes, you should track your expenses. It's you who is responsible for accurately reporting to the IRS, so be sure to keep your receipts. If your withdrawals exceed your qualified expenses, then taxes and penalties will be due on earnings. 529 plans are great for families planning ahead for college, trade school, or even non-degree education. However, they may be less ideal if your timeline is short, you expect to need the funds for non-education purposes, or you're uncomfortable with investment fluctuations. But hopefully this video helped provide insight as to where you might fit. Remember, every voyage needs a plan, and I hope this provides a map to help guide you to the treasure that is the 529 plan. Now, if you found this video helpful, please share it with others who might also find it useful, and be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you're notified of future videos. Also, check out my previous video on the brand new Trump account for kids here that may be a better option depending on your situation. And I hope to see you back here for the next one. This is AJ, your ace in the hole. See ya!